Marcus is here. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Hey, Marcus.
Hey, Sabby. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm good. I'm doing good. I've been waiting for this conversation all week, man.
Oh, I've been pumped up, excited about it. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get into some stuff.
I'm going to share my screen because I want to show you this picture. We're going to talk about class. Now, I put this picture on the thumbnail, but it's really small on the thumbnail, just being honest. So I blew it up here so you can see it close up. And I want you to take a good look at this. Now, this is talking about feudalism then and now. And Marcus, I think you'll really like this. But on the left-hand side, you have medieval feudalism. So you have the monarchs, landed gentry, clergy, royal ministers, merchants, vassals, and at the bottom, you have everyone else, right? And that says peasants, laborers. And then you have now on the right. Now we have corporate feudalism. So at the top, you have central bankers, big bankers, corporate elite, elected officials, top bureaucrats, top professionals. And once again, everyone else is at the bottom.
Yep.
So
You're dead on.
we really haven't evolved. We really haven't changed much. And one of the things that was interesting to me, I mentioned Bernie Sanders earlier when Bernie was running his campaign. A lot of times we heard him bring up Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Walmart. We know they're corrupt. They're billionaires. They got a lot of money. But I didn't think about this back then. But as time went by, I started to question. Notice how Bernie would always mention like people that we already know are rich, right? Jeff Bezos, the Waltons, the Walmart family.
Mm-hmm.
But you would never hear him mention people who have more money than Jeff Bezos and the Waltons. What's up with that?
Yeah, that's where I was a big Bernie fan, so don't get this wrong, everybody. I supported Bernie, and then when I noticed how he handled the debate with Biden, I started to start questioning, and then I started doing digging. And this is something I'm so glad Sabby has this up. This is awesome of you. Thank you so much. Right there where we have the corporate elite, that's where mostly everybody focuses. They don't look at these levels that are above that. And that's something that I keep telling everybody. They're like, well, what should we do? Well, you're being a pessimist or you're being nihilistic. It's no, I'm telling you, if we don't deal with these people above that, no change is going to happen, because these are the people who say, okay, well, they want to have what they want to have socialism. Okay, we'll do a couple of tweaks and turns, and we'll call it socialism, but we'll keep it the same way. They want communism, and this is what's literally going on all the way around the world. These people, they can change whatever kind of governmental system you want, but it's these centralized bankers and the big banks who are sitting up there still, because they're nonpartisan. They don't care about your parties. They don't care about what type of governmental system, because they're above it. They don't function within it. They do their own damn thing. I mean, we just had Mark Cuban, who just bought a town, which Sabby talked about. A freaking town. Because he was bored. He doesn't even know what it's not like he's like, you know what? If I get that town, I can do this. I could do. He's just like, well, I mean, it was a good deal, so I'll just buy the town. I mean,
Yep.
That's the problem. It's not the corporate. It's the people above that. And when you because I say this all the time. I say Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, those are errand boys for the people who are really pushing the big agenda. The people who are pushing the agenda, you don't know their names. Because I said, think about it. You don't think somebody actually owns the Federal Reserve? Because for those who don't know that, I mean, most of you should out there, the Federal Reserve is a private entity. It's not government.
Yep.
All of these centralized banks around the world, they're in private hands. Who owns this? You don't get to know those names. Those names are not on your Forbes list. Who are these people? Nobody ever talks about these people. And when I tell you, I tell that like when Sabby showed that video about the wealth being tossed over the shoulder to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. Do you think that these people who founded these banks somehow lost control? I mean, is that what we're thinking now? I mean, you got to remember there were people who had immense amounts of money who were literally lending to monarchies back then. The monarchy got deposed, but the person who was lending to them, they didn't get touched. And that's what people are missing. Yeah, you might get rid of Napoleon and you might get rid of this king over here, but the person who was lending them their money and keeping up their wars and all that, they didn't go anywhere.
Nope. And if you notice up at the top where it says central bankers, it says in parentheses, Federal Reserve, Bank of Japan. Like these are the people like again, like Jeff Bezos is nothing compared to those people. Absolutely nothing. Even under them big bankers, JP Morgan, of course. Goldman Sachs, of course. By the way, one of the officials from JP Morgan was just named on that list that Chris Hedges gave you about Jeffrey Epstein that I put on here a couple of days ago. You guys see what I'm saying? So like even someone like Joe Biden, he's all the way down here at elected officials. These people are above the president. This is why I've been trying to tell you guys. These people are above the president. The president of the United States, it's not that he can't use executive order or do executive power. He can, but all these people above him are the people who actually run this country. Even Fortune 500, the corporate elite, Fortune 500, those people are above the president of the United States. That's why they won't take the corporate money out of politics. That's why they continue to have donors like Big Pharma. That's why they continue to have Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan as their donors. These are the people who run the United States, not Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris, not your congressman and woman, not your senator. Does it all make sense now?
It's something I got to add this because you brought this up because I'm going to be talking Ghislaine Maxwell tomorrow night on the Political Matrix. And we're going to go in. Hopefully we don't get into too much trouble going in. But this goes all the way back. A lot of people, I don't know if you guys remember, Woodrow Wilson. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Stephen. Sorry. Some people might get offended if you shorten their names, but thank you, Stephen. A lot of people don't know, or they might not remember, Woodrow Wilson, his campaign promise was, I will not enter World War I. Mark your words, we are not going into war. What did he do the moment he got in? He went to war. Why? Because does everybody think he was lying? No, he genuinely didn't want to go to war. The reason why he took us to war is because he got blackmailed. A lot of people don't know that he had a mistress, which he got pregnant. Most people didn't know about that, but those upper elites knew about that. And because he professed to be a family man, a Christian, all that stuff like that, they knew it would destroy his political career. Now, when you're somebody who wants to hold on to your career and positions, like a lot of these politicians, all you need is a little bit of evidence like that on them. And if you guys don't understand what the whole Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein was about, this is what this is about. It is about getting dirt that they can use to twist these people to make them do what they want. Now, I'll let you guys go into who you believe are pulling the strings behind that. I do not disagree with that comment at all. But you guys got to start looking at this stuff and being honest with yourself. And don't let people stir you away with calling, well, you're being this or you're being that. Don't let them play those games with you. Look at what the oldest thing in the world. Follow the money. You start following the money trails, you will see this stuff clear as day. Sorry to go on a little rant.
No, it's great. Because phenomenal mysticism brings up lobbyists such as the Koch brothers and George Soros are more dangerous than people like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, but treat but but threat of every category shouldn't be underestimated. I'll tell you something about George Soros. George Soros, and this was a couple months ago when I reported this on my show. George Soros was donating money to Justice Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I tell you guys?
Koch brothers do it too. The thing is, they just do it through their off the books channels, so you don't see their names and fingerprints on it. A lot of people don't realize. They'll be like, "Well, I'm going to boycott the Koch brothers." Well, how do you boycott the Koch brothers if you don't know where all their money's even tied into? If you use like Kimberly Clark, if you use, there's so many companies which they own. They have their fingers into Procter and Gamble. They have their fingers into so many different things. And then when you find out, well, if we just stop dealing with them, oh well, there's somebody above the Koch brothers too. And then there's this system. When you start getting into, I won't say, I'll leave that alone for now. But when you start getting into, this is what I'll say. Secret societies. All of these presidents, whether it's Harvard, Yale, Skull and Crossbones, you guys know the different, ones. There's a reason why all of these presidents come from these fraternities, because these fraternities are on this trusted list of the people at the top. And that's why they use it. Yeah, I mean, Justice Dems are just the corporate Dems. Yeah, well, the thing is, a lot of them get in and they have these high hopes and believing, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And they go in and they tell them, say, hey, this is how it's going to work. You want to stay here and you want to get a couple of things done, or you want to go home. That's how it's going to work, because what they'll do is they're going to put so much money against them to push them out of office, or something's going to happen. Oh, well, they were drunk driving. Something's going to come up, and all of a sudden the media is going to crucify them, and then they're thrown out of office. If you keep trying to push, they will find a way, by hook or by crook, to get you out of their way. And so that's the reason why you see the AOCs going in there and they be good little girls and, hey, Mama Bear. That's why. Because they see, either I can just make my money and shut up and maybe help a couple of single moms.
Yep.
Or else they destroy me. And then don't get it twisted. A lot of people think of AOC as just this bartender who just pulled herself up by her bootstraps. Look back at her background. She is just not some little bartender.
Her dad was an architect.
Yeah, she was a staffer, volunteer staffer for I can't remember the politician, but I believe it was one of them out of Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember.
It was for Kennedy. And it was for Kennedy. And this is another example of how power really works in this country. And I brought this up on the show before. I forget which Kennedy was. Well, I can't remember his first name. Anyway,
Ted Kennedy.
Ted Kennedy. Yeah, Ted Kennedy was going to run for president. He did end up running for president, but years before that, he was going to run for president. This was not too long after Bobby died. After Bobby Kennedy died. I need to say last name, assuming people know who I'm talking about. But he was going to run for president, and he was involved. He was drinking and driving. There was a woman in the car who was involved with his campaign. He killed the woman, not on purpose, but he killed the accident, not so much on purpose, but after the fact. The woman, if he would have called the police or called the ambulance, they actually would have been able to save her life. When they found her the next day, he went back to the party. He went back to the party and pretended like nothing happened with him and his friends. The next day, when someone reported, hey, there's a car, part of it sticking out of a lake. When they came to pull her out of the car, do you know what they said? She did not die from drowning. She died from suffocation because her neck was pushed up towards the ceiling because she was trying to get air, which means that if he would have called the police that night, her life could have been saved. After that happened, Ted Kennedy was not arrested. Ted Kennedy did not go to jail. And years later, Ted Kennedy ran for office, ran for president. What kind of fucked up system is that? This is the country that we live in. He wasn't even arrested.
And he's honored. Think
That,
about it. Think about it,
yeah,
Sabby. He's considered like, I mean, you would ask somebody if they didn't know about Chappaquiddick when all that stuff went down, if they, because now recently, now they came out with a movie about it. But
right.
he was looked at as like, oh, the honorable gentleman from Massachusetts, Ted Kennedy. A lot of people looked at him with high honors and respect, mostly because of the Kennedy name, but still, they completely whitewashed his whole appearance. The same thing they did with the Bushes, the same thing. I mean, go another 20 years from now, and everybody's going to tell you how great Trump was. Watch. Everybody gets rewashed and rebranded. I mean, what was his name? Bush Senior, Herbert Walker Bush. Do you know, like, a lot of the people who were working for most of the Republican administrations have been the same people working for them behind the scenes? The Bill Barrs and all of these people like that are the same people.
See, there you go. So at the end of the day, this is where the class part comes in. And this is what I try to tell people is that at the end of the day, class does matter. And the people who are at the top, those are the people who are usually running things. Those are the people that can get away with things. How do you guys think Jeffrey Epstein was able to get away with human trafficking for so long? This is not the first time that he was reported.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the 90s in Florida, he literally got caught. And then what his sentence is they let him go home on the weekends.
Yep.
And basically still get to do the same shit. Because there are private eyes who were saying, yes, there's still underage girls coming in and out of this place. And then that same prosecutor, when it comes up, what was the name? Alex Azar, I believe. I might bad with remembering some of this stuff sometimes, but I know his name was Alex something. He's like, well, I guess I didn't realize that it was this, and he made all these excuses and tried to cover, and then nobody hears about it anymore. That's why I'm blanking on the name, because they'll talk about it when enough steam gets on it, and then they find ways to stop. Let's worry about this. Let's worry about that. Don't think. I mean, right now you have the Ghislaine Maxwell trial going on, but what is MSNBC and CNN mostly talking about? The Omicron variant.
There you go. There you go. You gotta watch independent media to tell you about that trial. You gotta watch us. I'm not kidding.
Yes.
They're quiet for a reason. There's other people that are involved that they probably know about that they don't want it to get out.
And then at the same time, remembering Glory was in there, they just decided that they're going to extradite Julian Assange.
Yep.
Why? I mean, but are they talking about this stuff? They might mention it 5 minutes. A ticker might scroll across the bottom of the screen, and then that's it. Oh, back to Fauci. Back to Fauci. Let's talk about this. Biden's bad poll numbers.
Yep.
But let's not worry about any of this other stuff that's going on.
No, it's so true.